I've always wondered what it takes to embody sheer nerve, the kind that makes you think you can control everyone and everything, no matter the cost. Audacity isn't just a word. It's a performance, a spectacle of unchecked ego. And let me tell you, I got a front row seat to that show when I crossed paths with Margaret Hensley, the self-crowned queen of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. Her reign of petty tyranny pushed me to my breaking point. But oh, how the tables turned when my daughter, a county deputy, showed up and put Margaret in her place, handcuffs and all. This is a story of freedom, revenge, and the sweet taste of justice. Stick with me. It's a wild ride. It all began with a dream as old as time. A home where I could live without someone nitpicking the shade of my shutters or the height of my lawn. For 6 years, I've been trapped in Willow Creek, a neighborhood so obsessed with standards that its name felt like a cruel joke. I was done with the endless rules, the sanctimonious newsletters, and most of all, Margaret Hensley. She didn't just run the HOA. She wielded it like a warlord, her rulebook a weapon, her monthly memos a litany of commandments. Margaret had this way of peering over her designer glasses, likely knockoffs, given the peeling frames with a smirk that could wilt flowers. Her champagne-colored Lexus, gleaming with tacky gold rims, prowled the streets like a predator, her eyes scanning for any infraction, no matter how trivial. My crimes? A birdhouse deemed too whimsical for Willow Creek's beige-on-beige aesthetic. A porch swing left out 10 minutes past curfew. The final blow? A suggestion to repaint my front door a cheerful sage green because it clashed with the community's refined palette of oatmeal, slate, and slightly darker oatmeal. I'd had enough. When I signed the deed for a cozy farmhouse on 5 acres of untamed land just 3 miles outside Willow Creek, I felt like I'd won the lottery. Picture rolling hills, a lazy creek, and not a single Margaret Hensley in sight. Or so I hoped. The property line was crystal clear-eyed, had it surveyed to the inch, a habit from my days as a supply chain analyst. Precision was my armor, and I'd need it. MOVYing day was a whirlwind of boxes, laughter, and the hum of freedom. By noon, the MOVYing truck was nearly empty, and I was already planning where to plant my wildflower garden. Then I saw it. A flash of champagne and gold creeping along the quiet gravel road bordering my land. My stomach twisted. It couldn't be. But there she was, Margaret Hensley, glasses glinting, her Lexus idling as she surveyed my unpacked chaos, my unruly grass, my sage-green welcome mat. She didn't stop, just stared, her head swiveling like a security camera. It was a promise of trouble, a silent vow that my escape wouldn't be so easy. I tried to shrug it off. Maybe she was just lost, I told myself, though Margaret knew every blade of grass within a 15-mile radius if it might violate her precious standards. 2 days later, she was back. I was knee-deep in my front yard, coaxing a stubborn lilac bush into place, when her Lexus crawled by, slowing to a near stop. The window hummed down, revealing Margaret's face, taut with disdain. Enjoying the rural charm, Laura, she called, her voice syrupy with venom. It's quite different from Willow Creek, isn't it? I'm not one for showdowns. My style is preparation, facts, a slow build to an airtight case. But her nerve was fraying mine. That's the idea, Margaret, I replied, my tone even. Freedom's the goal. She gave a tight smile. Freedom, she mused, as if the word tasted sour. The window slid up, but she lingered, engine purring, radiating judgment across the road. It was a power play, plain and simply, queen reminding a peasant who ruled the land. That night, I walked my property line, survey map in hand, snapping time-stamped photos of every marker. A voice honed by years of risk assessment whispered, this was just the start. The next morning, I found a glossy lawn care flyer tucked under my mailbox. Tucked inside, like a hidden dagger, was a note on Willow Creek's embossed letterhead. A courteous reminder. While Willow Creek's standards do not formally apply to neighboring properties, a thoughtful resident values VY Sewell harmony for the broader community. Overgrown lawns or garish displays can diminish property values and disturb nearby residents' peace. Thank you for your cooperation. The Willow Creek Standards Committee. No signature, but Margaret's fingerprints were all over it. She trespassed onto my land to deliver this veiled threat. Game on. Margaret's campaign escalated with chilling precision. Her Lexus became a daily fixture, circling the gravel road like a vulture. Sometimes she'd park just beyond my property line, angled to watch my every move, her silhouette scribbling notes or muttering into a recorder. I felt like a prisoner in my own home. One afternoon, as I planted a small herb garden strictly forbidden in Willow Creek's manicured yards, I heard a pointed cough. There she stood, on the public side of my split-rail fence, clutching a leather notebook and a silver pen. "Disturbing the soil, are we, Laura?" she said, her voice slicing through the air. "I'm planting basil," Margaret, he replied, forcing calm. "Great for pesto." She'd scared. Such projects attract pests, and pests don't respect boundaries. Willow Creek deserves a pest-free existence. I stood, brushing dirt from my gloves. "Margaret, this is my land, outside your HOA. What I plant is none of your business." Her eyes narrowed. "Some boundaries are ethical, not just legal, Laura. Community standards matter." I nearly laughed. This was a woman who'd once fined a family for their kid's sidewalk chalk art because it lacked sophistication. I doubled down on documentation, installing discrete security cameras, one covering my driveway, another watching the road. Every drive-by, every pause, every step she took was recorded. I kept a log, dates, times, her snide remarks. My analyst brain was in overdrive, building a fortress of EVY Denke. Margaret tried roping in my neighbor's next. One morning, old Mr. Callahan, whose orchard backed my land, stopped by, looking uneasy. "Laura, had a VY sighted yesterday," he said, twisting his cap. "Lady in a fancy SUV. Said she was from some regional standards board. Asked if I'd seen neglect at your place." My blood ran cold. "What did you say, Tom?" He grinned. "Told her the only neglect I see is her wasting my time. Your place looks better than ever." I thanked him, heartened by his loyalty, but Margaret was relentless. Days later, a formal envelope arrived, mailed this time on Willow Creek letterhead. It listed concerns: my untamed meadow harboring vermin, my non-compliant navy blue mailbox, my VY Cybele garden tools, and me favorite excessive bird feeding likely attracting invasive species. It urged prompt remediation to maintain harmony and hinted at further action if I didn't comply. Signed, of course, by Margaret Hensley, president and concerned citizen. I called my daughter, Sarah, a county deputy with a no-nonsense streak. She's sending letters now, Sarah, accusing me of inviting sparrows to ruin her utopia. Sarah whistled. "She's unhinged, Mom. Keep every scrap of EVY Denke. If she steps onto your land or blocks the road, call the non-emergency line." Her letters are annoying, but legal barely. It's the pattern we need to nail. Margaret's words were crafted to skirt the law, all insinuation, no direct threats. It was psychological warfare, but I don't buckle. I get surgical. Then Margaret weaponized public SARE VYCS. A code enforcement officer, Ms. Carter, showed up about uncontained vegetation posing a fire risk. I walked her through my tidy bins, my mowed lawn, my meadow far from any structure. "This is an ecosystem, not a hazard," I said. She nodded, embarrassed. "Some folks have odd ideas about risk," she muttered, and left. 2 days later, animal control arrived over a feral cat colony. I own one ancient tabby, Penelope, who naps on my porch and never roams. The officer, a gruff guy named Carl, took one look at Penelope's lazy yawn, sighed, and said, "That SUV lady again, right? She calls us monthly about squirrels or stray kibble. Waste of time." I logged every VY sit, every name, every complaint number. Margaret was burning through taxpayer resources to torment me. Sarah was leave VYD. "She's clogging the system, Mom. If we can prove she's filing false reports knowingly, she's in trouble. But anonymous tips are tricky without hard proof." I needed something ironclad. The breaking point came on a windy Thursday afternoon. I'd hired a tree sayer VYC to prune a massive maple near my fence routine upkeep. Their truck, logoed and parked fully on my land, was surrounded by safety cones. I was pouring lemonade for the crew when I heard shouting. Outside, Margaret was out of her Lexus, parked half in the road, jabbing a finger at the tree guy, a burly man named Hank. "This is a hazard," she shrieked. "Your equipment's unsightly, the noise is unbearable, and you're blocking traffic." I stepped out, heart pounding but voice steady. "Problem, Margaret?" She spun, face crimson. "This circus is a disgrace. Your workers are ruining the community's peace." I glanced at Hank's truck, neatly on my property, then at her Lexus, clogging the road. "Margaret, your car's the only obstruction here. Hank's on my land, and the loudest thing is you." Hank nodded. "Ma'am, we're just pruning a tree. No permits needed, no road blocked." Margaret puffed up. "I'm Margaret Hensley, president of Willow Creek HOA, and I demand order." Then she pulled her phone, voice shrill. "I'm calling the sheriff. This is an unauthorized operation, a public nuisance." My pulse raced. She was making a false report in front of me and Hank. "Margaret," I said, loud and clear, "you know my daughter, Sarah's a deputy, right?" She faltered just for a second. "Irrelevant," she snapped, dialing. Her tone shifted to panicked damsel as she spoke to dispatch. "There's a commercial vehicle blocking the road, unpermitted work, total chaos." Hank and I exchanged looks. He shook his head, muttering, "Ladies lost it." I felt a strange calm. Margaret thought she was calling in her nights. She was summoning her doom. The wait was agonizing yet electric. Hank's crew paused, and I started recording Margaret pacing, her Lexus still half in the lane. I texted Sarah, "Margaret's here, called the sheriff on me for tree trimming. Says it's blocking the road. Deputies coming." Her reply was instant. "Unreal. Stay calm, let them handle it. I'm nearby. Keep recording." The first patrol car arrived, 2 deputies Ramirez and Lee stepping out, looking baffled at the calm scene. Margaret rushed them, arms flailing. "Officers, this is anarchy. That truck's blocking the road. The noise is horrific, and they're damaging public property." She ignored her own car's illegal parking. The deputies listened, faces neutral. Ramirez jotted notes. Lee inspected Hank's truck, then Margaret's Lexus. When Margaret paused, Ramirez turned to me. "Ma'am, you own this property?" "Yes, sir, Laura Mitchell. Hank's pruning my maple, all on my land." Lee spoke up, voice dry. "Ms. Hensley, your vehicle's blocking traffic. Please move it." Margaret gaped. "But I'm the VY Tim." Ramirez was firm. "Move it, or we'll cite you." She stomped off, fuming, as I explained. "Hank's professional, no issues. The only disruption is Ms. Hensley's VY sits." Then a second vehicle pulled up an unmarked SUV. Out stepped Sarah, in uniform, her face a mask of professionalism. Margaret's eyes lit up, misreading the moment. "Deputy Mitchell, thank goodness. Tell them how VY-TAL community standards are." She thought Sarah would side with her. Sarah nodded curtly. "Ms. Hensley." She turned to Ramirez and Lee. "What's the situation?" Ramirez briefed her. False claims of road blockage, no permits needed, Margaret's car the real issue. Margaret waited, smug, expecting my humiliation. Sarah's voice was steel. "Ms. Hensley, you told dispatch a commercial vehicle was blocking the road and unpermitted work was happening." "Correct." Margaret nodded, less certain. "Well, yes, it's a danger." Sarah gestured at Hank's truck, clearly on my land, and the open road. "You reported an active obstruction. That's a specific claim." Margaret stammered. "It's the overall disruption." Lee cut in. "Ms. Hensley, your car was the only blockage. This tree work's legal, no permits required." Sarah's eyes were ice. "Ms. Hensley, you know filing a false report is a crime, right?" Margaret's face went white. "I'm a community leader," she sputtered. Ramirez stepped forward. "Ms. Hensley, you knowingly misrepresented facts, wasting our time and resources. That's actionable." Sarah added, "Your history of nuisance calls in Willow Creek, plus today's false report on a property outside your HOA, crosses a line." Ramirez pulled out cuffs. "Margaret Hensley, You're under arrest for filing a false police report. The air froze. Margaret's jaw dropped, her voice a screech. Arrest me? I'm a pillar of this county. You'll regret this. Ramirez was unmoved, reciting her rights as he cuffed her. Her fake Gucci bag hit the gravel with a pathetic thud. Sarah met my eyes, a flicker of triumph mixed with regret for the ordeal. Margaret, still shrieking about lawsuits, was guided into Ramirez's car, her empire crumbling in real time. Hank whistled. Well, damn, ma'am. That's one way to handle a pest. I laughed, tension breaking. Back to that tree, Hank? Sarah stayed briefly, her deputy facade softening. She dug her own grave, Mom. That false report was clear-cut, and her track record didn't help. I handed her my EVY Denke folder logs, photos, letters. Will this help? She grinned. Oh, it'll help the DA plenty, especially for harassment charges. As she drove off, I stood on my porch, Penelope purring at my feet, the maple's branches now neatly trimmed. The sunset blazed crimson and gold colors Margaret would have banned. Word of Margaret's arrest tore through Willow Creek like a storm. Mr. Callahan called, chuckling. Heard your old pal got herself cuffed. Guess her crown don't shine so bright now. The HOA board imploded without her iron grip. Whispers of misused funds for her flyers, her surveillance, sparked a rebellion. Margaret was charged with a misdemeanor, fined VYLY, and sentenced to roadside cleanup duty, a poetic twist. She resigned, citing personal growth, but we all knew she was dodging a mutiny. The new president, a meek librarian named Ellen, scrapped the color palette, even allowing a gnome or two. Kids played outside again. My farmhouse became my sanctuary. I planted herbs, hung feeders for invasive birds, let my meadow run wild. Margaret's Lexus never darkened my road again. Sometimes, digging in my garden, I think of her not with anger, but a wry pity. Her need to dominate blinded her to boundaries, and she built her own trap. Sarah, and I don't dwell on it, but when she comes for dinner, we share a knowing smile over pie from my garden's bounty. So that's the tale of how HOA tyrant Margaret Hensley overreached and crashed, undone by her own arrogance and a deputy daughter who wouldn't let her slide. Tell me in the comments, have you ever faced an HOA bully who went too far? Should Margaret have been hit with harsher charges for her harassment, or was her public humiliation enough? Was I too patient, or did my restraint make her downfall sweeter? Drop your thoughts, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories of battles fought and won on your own terms.